All right, had to start over again because I wasn't sure if something was going to work. So yeah, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm kind of showing you behind the scenes. The thing I worked on yesterday kind of took way too long, but it's gonna something that's gonna help me. That as the game has kind of progressed, I have to move the player's character to different places to kind of test different things. And when you do that, it's not huge, but it that you have to kind of make sure everything's right, like it's under the right object and the X, Y, and Z and the rotation and it was starting to become a little bit of a pain to kind of test different things and go in different places. And so I developed a class that kind of gets everything ready. And then kind of one issue as well too is like there's a lot of stuff that I make invisible to kind of work on stuff. So like right now, I don't know if you can see the mouse pointer or not, but that like to work like inside the restaurant, you have to kind of I have to remove the top, and it actually has two pieces of the top. So like stuff was starting to kind of build up where like okay to run it to package it like it's like all right I've got to make these objects visible and move these things around and where the player is. So created an object that um, basically gives me all the places where I want to put the player actually at that the waiting room, which is really just the elevator, the ship that it flies in, test platform, which is kind of outside of Space Burger, and then actually inside the restaurant. And then here's the stuff that I make invisible that I'm going to make visible when it starts. And then this object runs under the player as well. And that's just a case statement, and it was just kind of figuring out all these coordinates and things. And I don't know why it took me so long. Like one issue that I had, I was like, oh, setting a position, and then the player was in this weird place, and it's like, oh no, it's relative to the parent, and that's like local position. And then this is kind of weird too, but it's just the way it is. So this reference of this game object is the reference to the player. It's where this object is under. Is that like so? The transform is kind of like the X is kind of like the information of where it exists, and then it's like there's a reference to the parent. But it's like, oh, you would think you would assign the parent to the object that it's under. No, you assign the parent to the transform of the thing that it's under. So that took me a little bit. And then it was like even like rotation, even though it has like X, Y, and Z with it too, it doesn't get assigned in a vector. It's a quaternion, which is another kind of object, but you really want to just pass it to X, Y, and Z, so you have to do that as well. And that was something I learned. So basically, this way this works is that where I want the player to show up, I just kind of just put this constant in there. And then I go back here to compile. Another thing with this too, so here's all the objects that the player can appear, like, or I need to make visible are there, that I just assigned the reference to visibly in the interface. So I just kind of there. And then this list will kind of get bigger and whatever. So in theory, if this all works, which is going to actually take a little time to boot, I should have did this before I said video, that we should see, I have the headset just laying on the floor in my VR space. But and then I gotta wait until there's the sensors. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. I just showed that even before the sensors booted up. Oh, okay, that's great. So yeah, this is the elevator. Oh yeah, this vibe thing keeps coming up every day, and like sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and there'll be a whole bunch of them too. But okay, so now like yeah, it's like if I'm testing the waiting room. Also too, if you can see that it has the ceiling on it. And if I go through here in the models, that the ceiling is not there. So that is something I got to put the ceiling back on. So let's go to the next thing, which is the ship, this is the ship that takes you to Space Burger. And we'll just replace that there. And then once everything's compiled, and hopefully it is. So now we're in the ship. And this, oh, I guess that maybe is the right rotation. I was kind of worried that the rotation wasn't right. And you can see Space Burger and stuff that is there. So yeah, like I can just have the player show up there. And then, I mean, again, none of this stuff is rocket science. And again, it took me way too long. But at least I think I was kind of avoiding certain things, doing certain stuff because it's like, oh shit, I got to go move this thing over. And this now makes that a lot easier. Oh man, it's got to compile that. It's the yep, and that's right out there. And then yeah, and honestly, well, yeah, there may be a point where I should make that platform invisible as well too. But yeah, I was testing the hatch, so I probably I mean it's technically not 100% done. But then and then right in here, and then yeah, and then today I think I'm just gonna be working on the idea. So like I had the original idea of the conveyor belt and like the condiment, like everything, the buns and the everything you put on the burger out in front of you. But you run out of space. Like it doesn't work right. That you can't. I have a little bit of space because I have about like a 12 foot by 12 foot space, so I can move around a little bit. Most people aren't. They're just going to sit in front of their desk. So my idea is to actually create this kind of virtual belt that has all the stuff that you have on it, like you need to put on it, and so that you'll be wearing that, and kind of you can, if you want to move around, you can move around. If you don't have to move around, that seems like there. So I kind of work on like spawning, like before, like I was just creating a whole bunch of like assets, and that may be not the smartest way to do that too. I make a technique I'm using for like the ketchup and the mustard is a thing called an object pool, where I create kind of like 200 pieces of what I consider ketchup, and then like if you just kind of hold the ketchup out, it's only going to show 200 and then recycle the first one that you used. I'm probably going to do the same with the assets of the burger, so do that as well. But anyway, it's just this little object that took me way too long to do for whatever, some stupid reason. I don't know why, but it helps. Oh, another mistake I made too was I was making variables for this stuff there in public, and then when they were going into the interface, since I didn't have any values set for them in the interface, it was rewriting the stuff that I was sending in the code. So there was something to learn too, where that was again where something, as I was testing out, it's one thing with the VR stuff, it just takes so much longer to test because I mean you just physically have to get up, put the headset on there. Like with me, I have it set this way, and I don't know if this is better or worse, that I shut down the trackers. I forget what the exact term for them are, and so like if I wait too long, I have to wait until boot them up. I'm trying to keep it on when I'm developing, but yeah. So yep, that was something there that kind of helps me speed up development and will help me out. And I don't know if this will help anybody with Unity. I don't know. There's so many geniuses out there that code in this. They just make these amazing demos, and I just like look at my stuff, and it's like, oh my god, I'm borderline retarded. like oh man, there's this guy that spent 6 months on this one character with this cape and shooting, and it's like there, and it's amazing. Like his stuff, I don't know if it'll ever be in a game, but I hope so. But yeah, that I just like look at it, it's like, oh man, I'm making a restaurant in space so you can flip burgers. Anyway, that's gotta keep working. We're kind of past deadlines or whatever, but we'll see if we can get it to work. Till next video.